Hello everyone, this is IGN's review discussion for Mortal Kombat X. With me is Vince Ingenito, our reviewer.
Hello.
Kyle O'Connor.
Hey guys.
Destin Legary.
Hi everybody.
And Vince, this is what you thought about Mortal Kombat X.
Yes.
Story only matters so much in a fighting game. Combat is king, and there's a ton of depth to mine for Mortal Kombat X. A much-needed transfusion of new blood, along with the ability to choose between 3 variations of every character, means we'll be learning, grinding, and discovering for a long time to come. Its universe keeps getting harder and harder to take seriously, but Mortal Kombat X is a great fighting game all the same.
One of the big things that they've added to Mortal Kombat is like a major new group of characters.
Yep.
8 new characters out of 24 total.
Huge ratio, like not many fighting games have ever replaced that many returning fighters with new characters.
And Vince, that was one of the big influences on your review, which you said it was one of the big reasons you really like this game. What do you guys think of the cast of characters, including the new ones?
Cassie's my favorite.
Cassie's your girl.
She's really cool. She's really sassy in combat. She makes little comments like ring the bell and then she does the nut punch.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like just
pretty
stuff
good.
like that. She is just really, really cool, and I like her a lot.
She's totally Johnny's daughter.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
totally Johnny's daughter. She's tough like her mom, but she's a smart ass like her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really like it. Takeda? He's the one with the whips, right?
Yeah, Takeda's so good.
He's cool.
Him and Kung Jin are really good. Stereotypically in Mortal Kombat, I've been a huge Raiden fan ever since forever. MK9, that's who I played. But I have a new favorite in this game who comes from the new cast, and it's Kotal Kahn. He's just so compelling.
Now your total favorite.
Total favorite.
When we started out, like, he was the new character that I was most interested in.
Yeah.
And I still am very interested in him.
Yeah.
I want to learn him a little bit better. But you were like, yeah, he seems interesting. But you were more on other guys, and now
Raiden.
you've landed on
Kotal Kahn,
Kotal Kahn,
absolutely.
that's cool.
Specifically his War God variation. I love him. I find his story compelling. The voice acting I find to be some of the better voice acting in the game, as well as all of his move sets. He just seems like a really complete character.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kotal Kahn is definitely the most interesting part of the story mode. Aside from the fact that himself, he has a kind of a gravitas to him. Again, his voice acting is really good.
Yeah, super good.
But I think it's just the fact that everything going on in Outworld, in his like, you know, which he's now the emperor of.
Yeah.
Is just more interesting than all the other threads they're pulling together with the story. There's this civil war going on, and you know he kind of had to crush a usurper, you know, to retake the throne, and now. There's rebellion, and he seems like a person I would want to follow, or the person who I think would be. He seems like a better leader than Shao Kahn was,
Absolutely,
for sure.
yeah.
So I really feel like he's a standout in terms of like his persona in the story mode. Whereas some of the other characters I think are great when you fight as them, but I didn't necessarily love what they were doing with their story.
He's a better leader, but he's still awful to clarify.
No one's nice in this game. They're awful. They're terrible. It's like,
So off the shelf though, this comes with 24 characters. Is that enough to sustain a game like this, or is it
3 variations each, man.
That's the other thing, is that 24 characters is already a solid amount. I mean, that's more than some games in their vanilla, you know, starting versions, less than others. Like, you know, Street Fighter 4. I think original vanilla Street Fighter 4 launched with 16 characters. Maybe that was the arcade version of Street Fighter 4. I'm not sure, but yeah, in Street Fighter 4's initial version, there was fewer characters than that. But then you got other games that have a little more, but I think 24 is plenty. But I think what you mentioned that makes a big difference, and something we should definitely be talking about, is the variation system, which is this huge addition they made. Everyone has 3 different versions. Each version has different moves, different properties, different combos. Basically triples the size of the cast in no small way.
And for a lot of the old characters, they have a variation that makes them feel completely new.
Exactly. I was going to ask you, you know, Kyle, like, you know, you're a big Raiden fan.
Yeah.
You've been playing him for a long time. I think it's really cool with the variation system. They can have a variation that feels more like what they were always doing, but then you have other ones that let them do different things. Have you landed on a variation you like the most?
Well, obviously, I really like Displacer because that feels like super close to MK9 Raiden, who's been my favorite. But I think the Thunder God one, also really compelling. I feel like there's going to be a lot of really good setups similar to like Cyrax Bomb setups.
Sure.
Which would be good. But yeah, Raiden's Displacer variations.
Yeah, it lets him kind of control space in a way that he doesn't normally able to, and that honestly that Mortal Kombat characters aren't usually able to. And that's one of the things I love about the variation system is since it's both a safety net. It was like a safety net for them because they're like, hey, we can create one version of the character that's super normal to what Mortal Kombat does, and then they were like, yeah, we can then have 2 others where they take really big risks. Like say Sonya, you know, Sonya's got this whole grenade, you know, in her demolitions variation.
That's the one.
She has this whole grenade mechanic where she has a stock of 3 grenades, and then she can, you know, have different grenades that she can throw at different distances, but then she runs out of ammo, she has to call for more ammo, but then depending on how many are in her pack or not in her pack, different moves become more powerful or less powerful. Like her EX drone, where she calls the drone, it becomes a thing where the drone drops multiple bombs depending on how many she's got missing. So you want to wait to use that until she has nothing. Whereas, her EX grenade throw, it will throw all of her grenades. So you want to wait until she's full to make use of that, to get maximum use out of it. Mechanics like that are just so new to Mortal Kombat.
Have there been any drawbacks to the variation system that you guys haven't liked, or is this just a universally awesome system that you all love?
Yeah, do you feel like any characters were like stripped of like one ability that they should just have in a variation?
I saw one or two cases of that
Because Kung Lao doesn't have his down hat toss in one of his variations, right?
Oh, really? I didn't mess with Kung Lao too much, but that's interesting. The example that
it's
I
not
had,
in one, but it's in another. Sorry.
Right. The example that I had was with Katana, is her square wave, where she kind of like flies really quickly, like back first across the screen. She actually only has that in Royal Storm. She doesn't have that in other variations.
I would agree, yeah. I know I just mentioned it's my favorite style, but I feel like Raiden should have teleport across all of his movesets, and he's only got it in Displacer, as well as Sub-Zero should have his eyes cloned in every moveset, and he's only got it in Grandmaster.
In Grandmaster, yeah. So it's interesting though, because since they do have the variation that has those things, they can say, hey, well, what does this character play like without this seminal move? I mean, I wouldn't say that the square wave for Katana is a seminal move, but nor is necessarily Ice Clone, but it became a big part of his neutral game in MK9. So, you feel, it's funny how naked you feel, right? Without those security blankets. Like, you have that one move that you're like, this is the move that's gonna control the match for me, that's gonna control the game at neutral, and then that goes away, and you're like, this character doesn't make sense to me anymore. But it's not necessarily a bad thing.
But it also provides you with an opportunity to be like, well, Ice Clone on Sub-Zero is really good for people that like to charge or rush, and it also stops projectiles. So then you're like, oh, if I'm fighting you on Katana, which by the way, I hate, I'll try and use Sub-Zero to drop the Ice Clone so I can be protected from the fans or charges.
So it sounds like you guys are pretty much all in agreement that the variation system is a great addition to Mortal Kombat.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that with 24 characters and 3 variations for each, not every variation is amazing. Some of them feel cooler than others for sure, but none of them feel bad. And I think that the system, like anything, can always use a little bit of iteration. But it's an excellent first step.
Great. Well, that's what we think about the characters and the variation system. For more on Mortal Kombat and more on our review discussion, stay on IGN.